Imagine waking up one morning and finding out your own family stole your name, faked your medical records, and created a disabled version of you online just to scam $168,000. And when you questioned them, they called you delusional. I always thought betrayal came from strangers. You hear about scams, fraud, and catfishing on the internet, but never once did I imagine it would come from inside my own family. That's where I was wrong. Dead wrong. My name is Alex. At least, that's what it used to mean to me. My name, my identity, my life. But to my family, it became a mask. A tool. A convenient story they could twist into a money-making machine. It all started when I noticed whispers. Strange looks from neighbors. Odd sympathy from people at the grocery store. An older woman I barely knew patted me on the shoulder one day and said, "You're so strong, dear. God bless you." Strong? For what? I had no clue what she meant. That night, I asked my mom about it. She avoided my eyes and changed the subject. My father shrugged and muttered something about people being nosy. My younger sister giggled nervously and left the room. Something was off. Weeks later, I stumbled across a Facebook page. The name caught my eye immediately. Help Our Sweet Alex Fight. My stomach dropped. The profile picture was me. Or at least a picture from years ago, when I was thinner, pale from a bad flu I once had. But the description under the photo made my blood run cold. Alex was born with a rare neurological condition. It read, "They are wheelchair-bound, unable to work, and struggling daily. Our family is raising money for treatment, therapy, and survival. Every dollar helps." I blinked, read it again, and then again. My hands shook. What the hell was this? Scrolling down, I saw a post written by my mother. Pictures of me sleeping on the couch, claiming I was too weak to move. Old medical forms she must have dug up from when I had a minor surgery as a kid, edited to look worse. Long paragraphs about how our poor child fights every day. And beneath those posts, comments. Hundreds of them. People sending prayers, sharing sympathy, and donations. So many donations. At the top of the page, in bold letters, was a number, $168,000 raised. I couldn't breathe. My own family had created a fake, disabled version of me, and the world believed it. I stormed downstairs, phone in hand, ready to confront them. My mother was in the kitchen, humming while she cooked. My father sat at the table, scrolling his phone. My sister was on the couch, laughing at some video. I slammed the phone down on the counter. What the hell is this? I demanded. They froze. My mom glanced at the screen, then back at me. She didn't look guilty, not even ashamed. Instead, she sighed like I was being dramatic. "Oh, Alex," she said softly, "don't be like this. You don't understand." Understand. My voice cracked. You stole my face, my name, my life. You told people I'm disabled, that I can't walk, can't work, can't do anything. You don't. My father snapped, cutting me off. His eyes burned into mine. You don't do anything. You sit in your room all day. You've never helped this family. At least this way you're useful. His words hit me like a slap. My sister chimed in, smirking. It's not even hurting you. People think you're sick. Big deal. You still have your life, don't you? My chest tightened. This is fraud. It's my identity. You're making money off me. Mom's expression hardened. We did what we had to do. Times are tough. Bills don't pay themselves. Nobody cares about us unless we give them a sob story. And you, she jabbed a finger at me, you were the perfect sob story. I stood there in shock, unable to process the cruelty dripping from her words. My own family didn't see me as a person anymore. I was a prop, a character in their little performance. I told them I would report this, that I'd expose them. They laughed, actually laughed. My dad leaned back in his chair, grinning. "Go ahead," he said. "Who's going to believe you? We've got the proof, the pictures, the donations, the sympathy of hundreds of people. And you," he sneered, "you'll sound insane, delusional." My sister giggled. "Imagine telling people your own family scammed the internet by pretending you're disabled. You look crazy." The room spun. They were right. If I told anyone, How could I prove it? The page was filled with carefully curated lies. The money was already in their account. The world believed them. And me? I was just a ghost they built their empire on. But something inside me snapped that night. If they wanted to call me delusional, fine. If they wanted to use me as their character, their mask, their money machine, fine. But they forgot one thing. I wasn't as weak as they thought. And if they wanted a villain in their story, I was more than ready to play the part. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying their laughter in my head. My own family mocking me, dismissing me, treating me like I was nothing more than a pawn in their scam. I clenched my fists. They thought I'd do nothing. They thought I'd just sulk and accept it. But they forgot one important thing. I've always been the one in this family who paid attention. I remembered every time my mom lied on the phone about bills. Every time my dad bragged about cutting corners at work. Every time my sister gloated about cheating her way through school. Lies were second nature to them. But lies also leave cracks. Cracks that someone like me could crawl through. First, I needed evidence. The next morning, I pretended nothing was wrong. I ate breakfast quietly, nodded when they spoke, even smiled. My mother seemed relieved, my dad smug, my sister downright cocky. They thought I had given up. Perfect. While they were out one afternoon, I went into my mom's room. Her laptop sat on the desk, still open. She was careless like that. I dug through files, screenshots, drafts of their fake posts. I found a spreadsheet where she kept track of donations, names, amounts, even little thank you notes she sent out to make it look genuine. I took pictures of everything. Every single file, every fake story. Then I checked the bank statements. My parents had opened a separate account for the donations. It was fat with cash. Trips to restaurants, new clothes, even a new TV, all paid for what money meant for my treatments. Rage burned in my chest, but I forced myself to stay calm. This wasn't just about anger anymore. This was war. I copied links, downloaded screenshots, and emailed them all to a hidden account I had created. If my family wanted to call me delusional, I'd show the world the receipts. But I wasn't stupid. Just exposing them wouldn't be enough. If I went to the police or the donors, my family would just twist it again. They'd cry about misunderstandings, claim I was unstable, maybe even double down on the delusional narrative. No, I needed something bigger. Something that would crush their scam completely, leave them with no way out. That's when the idea came to me. If they wanted to paint me as weak, helpless, and disabled, then I would turn that picture against them. I'd take their story and bleed it dry until they choked on it. Step 1, play along. The next week, I started limping slightly around the house. Nothing too obvious. Just enough for my mom to notice. She asked if I was okay. I shrugged, told her I was just tired. She smirked, probably thinking her lies were finally sinking into me. Step 2, feed the fire. I went to a clinic out of town and got copies of my real medical history. Clean, healthy, no conditions. Then I accidentally left them lie around in my room where I knew my sister would snoop. Sure enough, a day later, I overheard her whispering to my mom that I might be trying to collect my own records. Panic flickered in their eyes. Good. Let them sweat. Step 3, build allies. I started talking to a few of the donors online. Carefully, anonymously. I joined their support group under a fake name and read the posts they made about me. People cried about how inspired they were by my courage. It made me sick, but I kept my cover. I asked questions, acted concerned. Slowly, I gained their trust. And then I started dropping hints. Subtle things. Questions like, has anyone actually seen Alex in person? Or, do we know if the family is really using the money for treatment? Seeds of doubt. Tiny cracks. Step 4, prepare the finale. I found a way to live stream. Anonymous, of course. I planned it carefully, waiting for the right moment. I'd expose everything in one blow, not just the donors, but to the entire community, the neighbors, the church, everyone. The day before I was ready to pull the trigger, I overheard my parents in the kitchen. We need another push, my mom said. Donations slowed down. Maybe we post about Alex getting worse. Say the treatments aren't working. My father nodded. We can milk another 50 grand easy. People eat that stuff up. And then my sister laughed. What if we say Alex died? Imagine the money we'd get for a memorial fund. The room went silent. And then my mom whispered, not yet, but maybe soon. My stomach dropped. They weren't just planning to scam people. They were planning to kill me off online. Erase me completely. That was it. That was the push I needed. The next night, I set everything in motion. I scheduled the live stream, gathered all my files, all my evidence, every screenshot, every bank record. I rehearsed what I'd say. Short, sharp, undeniable. When the clock hit 8, I went live. The screen lit up with viewers. At first, just a handful, then dozens, then hundreds. Familiar names, donors, neighbors, even people from church. I stared into the camera, my heart pounding, and said the words I'd been holding back for weeks. My family has been lying to you. I am not disabled. I am not dying. I am not sick. But they've taken $168,000 from you, using my face, my name, my identity. And I have proof. I dropped the screenshots into the chat, the spreadsheets, the bank records, photos of their luxury dinners, their shopping sprees. My voice shook, but my words cut like knives. They laughed at you. They laughed at me. They said no one would believe me if I told the truth. But now you see it. They are liars, thieves, parasites, and they used your kindness to feed themselves. The comments exploded. People were furious, heartbroken, betrayed. Some were already tagging authorities. Others demanded refunds. The truth spread like wildfire. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Power. Downstairs, I heard my family shouting, panicking, realizing too late what I had done. And I smiled, because this was only the beginning. The morning after my live stream, the house felt like a war zone. My mom was pacing the kitchen, her hair a mess, screaming into her phone. My dad sat at the table, silent for once, staring at nothing with a look I'd never seen before, fear. My sister was crying, muttering curses about how I ruined everything, as if they hadn't ruined me first. I poured myself a cup of coffee, calm as ever, and sat across from my father. The tension was thick enough to choke on. My mom slammed her phone down and glared at me. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" she hissed. I took a sip, let the silence hang, then smiled. "Oh, I think I do." The local news picked up the story within 24 hours. Family exposed for faking disabled child, raising $168,000 in donations. The headline was everywhere. My name, my face, my so-called illness, all plastered across every screen in town. Except now, the truth was attached. Reporters camped outside our house. Neighbors gathered, some angry, some curious. Donors demanded refunds. Lawyers started circling. The empire my family built on lies crumbled overnight. My mom tried damage control. She posted a shaky video, tears streaming down her face, claiming it was all a misunderstanding, that I was unstable, that I made up everything out of spite. But then the receipts started spreading. Screenshots of their vacations, bank statements, their own words in group chats, mocking donors. My evidence had gone viral. Everywhere I looked, people were turning on them. And yet, somehow, they still turned their anger on me. My dad cornered me in the hallway one night, his face red, veins bulging in his neck. "You think you've won? You think you're some kind of hero? You destroyed your own family. For what? Attention? Revenge?" I stepped closer, meeting his glare with ice. "No, I destroyed monsters. Don't confuse the two." He raised his hand like he might hit me, but something in my eyes stopped him. For the first time in my life, I saw it, hesitation, fear. That's when I knew I had the upper hand. But here's the thing about revenge. It's addictive. Once you get a taste, you want more. And I wasn't done yet. The live stream exposed them. Yes, but I wanted to make sure they felt the pain they had forced them to live with for years. The feeling of being powerless, mocked, erased. So I dug deeper. I contacted the IRS, sent them every financial document I had. I reached out to local journalists, offering exclusive interviews. I even slipped anonymous tips to people my parents owed money to. Every skeleton they had in their closet, I dragged out into the sunlight. Bills piled up. Court summons arrived. Old friends cut ties. My mom's job fired her after the scandal tarnished their reputation. My dad's drinking worsened as the walls closed in. My sister lost her college scholarship when the school didn't want to be associated with fraud. Piece by piece, I watched them unravel. And yes, a part of me felt satisfied, vindicated. But another part of me, darker, sharper, felt hungry. Because deep down I realized something. I didn't just want to destroy their scam. I wanted to destroy them. One night, as I lay in bed scrolling through the chaos I had unleashed online, I asked myself a dangerous question. What if I don't stop here? After all, hadn't they taught me that people believe whatever story is most entertaining? That the truth doesn't matter as much as a performance? They painted me as disabled for money. What if I painted them as something worse? I created another anonymous account and started whispering online. Nothing too bold at first. Just questions. Did anyone notice how fast they spent the donations? Why were there no receipts for Alex's supposed treatments? Then I got bolder. What if they weren't just lying about the illness? What if they were planning to get rid of Alex for real? Rumors spread like wildfire. Strangers speculated that my parents had darker intentions, that maybe they were capable of worse than just fraud. I didn't confirm. I didn't deny. I just let the narrative grow. And the more it spread, the more isolated my family became. Neighbors crossed the street to avoid them. The church banned them from attending. Even their few remaining friends stopped answering calls. It was delicious watching them drown in a sea of whispers. But I wasn't immune to whispers either. Some people began to notice how calm I seemed in interviews, how sharp my words were. They questioned if I was really the victim, or if I had masterminded the whole thing. I didn't mind. Let them wonder. Let them fear me a little. Because the truth was, I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was something else. Something sharper. An anti-hero, maybe, or maybe just a villain my family had always wanted me to be. Either way, I had no intention of stopping. Not until I decided they had suffered enough. And as I lay awake that night, listening to my mother cry in the next room, I realized with a cold, steady calm, I wasn't sure I'd ever feel like they had suffered enough. After the live stream, I thought the worst was behind me. I was wrong. The fight changed shape. It got meaner, sharper, more direct. People kept calling. Reporters, former donors, a lawyer who offered to help pro bono. My inbox filled with messages, some angry, some thankful, some scary. A few nights I woke up to threats, but mostly I had momentum. The town had turned on my family. I could feel it every time I walked past a window. The looks were different now. People pointed. People whispered. My plan was not only to ruin their reputation. I wanted to make sure they had nowhere to hide. I wanted them to lose the easy comforts they had stolen from others. I wanted them to feel the shame, the fear, the hunger. I started small. I handed copies of the documents to the right people. Not just the news, not just the donors. I gave them to the company my dad worked for. I emailed them to the landlord who had been lenient on my mom's overdue rent. I reached out to the college scholarship board and sent them the receipts showing my sister's meals at fancy restaurants, while the donation page said I couldn't afford basic therapy. Doors that used to open for them slammed shut. My sister went first. Her friends stopped answering. Her scholarship was revoked. She cried and showed up at my door begging for help. I let her stand there, wet-eyed and small. I thought about what she did, how she laughed while strangers sent money to what she called a sad story. But when she hugged me that night and whispered, "I'm sorry," I felt a crack inside me. For a moment, I almost forgave her. Almost. My mother tried a different tack. She sat with a social worker and played the victim. She let cameras film her shakily holding old photos and whispering about how much she loved me. But then the social worker found my spreadsheet, the online donations, the receipts, The narrative fell apart in front of a camera crew. You could see the pride drain from her face like water. My father grew dangerous. He drank more and slept less. He muttered to himself. He slung curses at the mailman. Sometimes I would find him staring at the wall, jaw clenched, as if he was bargaining with ghosts. Once, he came into my room at 2 a.m. and stood over my bed, breathing heavy. For a second his old, angry hands hovered like they might strike. I didn't flinch. I had learned to hold my ground. People started asking me if I was proud of what I'd done. A few called me cruel. A few called me a hero. I stopped answering. Labels didn't matter to me. Results did. Then the law got involved. My evidence was enough for an investigation into fraud. The bank where the donations were held froze the account. For the first time in months, my family didn't have access to that money. They were panicked, bargaining with anyone who would listen. They called distant relatives. They begged neighbors for cash. They posted desperate videos to their page, this time with no sympathy. That felt good, but it didn't feel clean. Exposing accounts and posts was one thing. Making them face consequences was another. So I kept pushing. I talked to a key prosecutor and told the truth, the whole messy truth, about how the money was raised. I handed over recordings of my mother and sister mocking donors. I gave them the list of purchases and told them where the money went. I gave the prosecutor dates and statements and emails. I wasn't just aiming for a headline. I wanted charges. When the prosecutor called, my father's eyes were hard. He knew the stakes. My mother's smile faded like paint in the rain. Then something I didn't expect happened. One evening, my sister burst into my room, face ashen. "They came for Mom," she whispered. "Officers at the door. They want to question her about embezzlement." I felt something cold skip through me. Part of me cheered. Part of me panicked. Real police. Real charges. Real consequences. This was no longer a game. The family scrambled. My mother begged me to tell the prosecutor they were mistaken. My father tried to bribe a former colleague to smooth things over. My sister posted a trembling apology video and begged for forgiveness. But the evidence was tight. The account had been traced. The donations had transfers and receipts. It wasn't just sympathy anymore. It was clear theft. Watching them taken in handcuffs was uglier than any live stream. My neighbors crowded the sidewalk with their phones. Cameras flashed. My mother looked at me then, really looked, and hate and fear and something else crossed her face. Guilt, maybe, or the sudden loss of control. For a second she mouthed, "Why?" As if I didn't already know. The prosecutor leaned into the small microphone at the press conference and read a statement. "We have evidence of organized fraud and embezzlement." The words were public. They felt final. But victory didn't taste like triumph. It tasted like hollow. I watched them led away and felt nothing but a strange tiredness. The house felt enormous and empty. 2 days later, as I sat through interviews, someone slid an envelope under my door. No name, just my name scrawled on the outside. Inside was a single photo and a note. The photo was old. Me as a kid, hair matted to my forehead, with a smile so raw it hurt. My parents were in the background. My mother's hand was raised like she just pulled me away from something. My father's face was turned the other way, distracted. The note said only one line. "You broke them. What will you do when they break back?" I laughed, but it felt small. Days passed. Calls came from strangers. A donor who lost savings threatened to sue me for ruining lives. A former neighbor accused me of harassing the family. Someone sent a post accusing me of planting evidence. The line between right and wrong blurred until the edges were jagged and sharp. Then the final thing happened that I hadn't planned for. I woke up to my phone buzzing with a message from an unknown number. It was a photo, not the old one. A new one, a screenshot taken with a phone camera. It showed my live stream, me talking into the camera just before I hit send. In the corner, there was a reflection, a figure standing behind me in the dark doorway. I froze. I zoomed in. The figure was too small to see clearly. But whoever took that screenshot had been in my room. They had watched me prepare. They had been close enough to reflect in my monitor. Then the message: "You think you expose everything. Think again." My palms went cold. Someone had been inside my life while I was busy exposing theirs. Someone knew my moves. Someone had been playing their own game. I felt the house pressing on me like a hand. Outside, a police siren wailed, growing louder by the second. I sat frozen as the siren grew louder. My phone buzzed again. Another message: "We know where you sleep." The words were small, cruel. My stomach dropped like it had been punched. The officers arrived in pairs, polite but serious. They asked my name, my relation to the family, and if I had seen anything strange. I told them about the screenshot. I handed over my phone. They took it. They asked if anyone else had access to my room. I lied and said no. My throat felt tight. They left after promising to check the house. The cameras outside still flashed. Reporters whispered. The town watched. My sister burst into my room that afternoon, face red, breath hot. She slammed the door behind her. "You don't get to ruin us and walk free," she hissed. Her voice shook. She looked small and dangerous all at once. "Really?" I said. "You think I'd walk away?" I wanted to scare her. I had the right. I had plans bigger than a live stream. I had made them suffer. But this felt different. Someone had been inside my life. Someone had watched me while I prepared a truth bomb. That meant I had missed a step. I had given them room to move. She dropped onto the bed. "They took Mom," she said. "They took her for questioning 2 hours ago. They left this," she shoved a paper at me, "a list. They want statements. They want receipts. They want everything." I read the list. My heart skipped lines. The prosecutor expanded the probe. The house felt like it was being picked apart by ants. "Why would you do this?" I asked quietly. She looked up. Her eyes had that cold, practiced look. "Because you left me no choice. You destroyed our lives." I thought, if I could make them see you as the villain again, maybe we could get sympathy. Maybe we could get Mom released. "You framed me?" The word tumbled out raw. She looked away. I took the screenshot. I sent it to someone. I didn't think it would go this far. "You sent it to who?" I demanded. She swallowed. "A friend. Someone who knows people. They said they could get Mom out if we made you look bad." I thought, "Please, Alex." I thought it would fix things. I laughed then, but it was sharp and hollow. "So you traded my name for your mother's freedom." She flinched. "You think I wanted this?" "I wanted my life back. You took it from me." We sat in silence with two versions of the same broken house between us. In the hallway downstairs, my mother's voice carried, shouting, pleading, then silence. Later, the prosecutor called me into the station. They had questions. They wanted to know about the timeline of the live stream, the files I presented, and the accounts where the money had gone. I answered. I handed over everything I had. I thought that would be that. But then the prosecutor slid a thick envelope across the table. "We found this in your name," she said. My eyes narrowed. Inside was a bank statement. A small account. A few transactions. A transfer, small, petty, sent from the donation account to another account months ago. The amount was nothing compared to $168,000. But it was there. Traceable. In my name. I felt the floor tilt. I started. "You have to tell the truth," the prosecutor said. Her tone was gentle but firm. "If you took anything, even a small amount, you must admit it." I stared at the numbers. It was true. I had taken money. Not from donors directly. But a week after I discovered the page, my life had been empty. I had no job. I had no savings. I had used a small transfer, anonymously returned later, to pay a debt I owed to someone who would have hurt me if I didn't. I had hidden it well. I had convinced myself it was small and justified. I thought my secret would stay buried. But secrets have a way of surfacing, especially in a house made of lies. "I took it," I said finally. "A small sum. I paid a debt." My voice sounded small in the big room. I returned it later. I didn't touch the rest. I swear. The prosecutor nodded, writing. "We will need a statement. This will complicate things for you." But telling the truth helps your credibility. On the walk home, I felt raw. The town had cheered when I exposed the scam. They called me brave. But now they would see that I was not clean. I was not a saint. I had stolen too, albeit for survival, or so I had told myself. Back at the house, neighbors gathered. Someone spat at our gate. The cameras were worse than before. My mother cussed me without shame. My sister avoided my eyes. I thought about what I had become. I had set out to take justice. I had wanted the world to feel the same hurt I felt. I had wanted them to panic, to beg. I had wanted them to taste shame. Now I saw what the price had been. The legal fight, the ruin, the fear, the way even people who loved me, if they ever had turned. That night, I did something I hadn't planned. I uploaded a video, not a live one, a short, calm recording. I spoke directly to the people who had donated, to the town, to anyone listening. I exposed a lie, I said. My voice was steady. My family lied to you. They took your money. They used my name. I am sorry for that. But I also need to tell you the whole truth. I took a small sum early on. I used it to pay off something that would have hurt me. I returned it. I should have told you. I didn't. I paused. I do not want your forgiveness. I want the truth to be whole. If you want the money back, I will help get it back. If you want justice, help the victims. Don't let my anger become your excuse to hurt others. I posted bank details, names, emails for refunds. I pledged to work with prosecutors. I offered to testify. I put my few remaining savings into a fund to start returning donations. It was not much, but it was something. The reaction was messy. Some people called me a showman, trying to save face. Some thanked me for telling the truth. A group of donors reached out and said they wanted to meet and decide how best to return funds. In the week that followed, something unexpected happened. My family's lawyer came to me with a deal. If I helped him get my mother a lighter sentence, if I testified in a way the prosecutor could use to show cooperation, the prosecutor might recommend leniency. My father would get probation. My sister might avoid prison. I sat in a quiet room and thought about choices. I could keep pushing, keep tearing. I could watch them all rot in jail and say I had won. Or I could accept a price and try to rebuild something small. I chose the latter. In court, I spoke plainly. I told the truth about the page, the donations, and the transfers. I admitted my own theft. I handed over documents to help the prosecutor recover funds. The judge listened. He did not call me a hero. He did not call me a monster. He called me a man who had made choices and would face the consequences. My mother received community service and probation. My father got probation and counseling. My sister was ordered to take part in restitution and therapy. The donors received partial refunds as money was recovered. The bank closed the accounts. The charity in town received a donation to help people genuinely in need. It was messy. It was not perfect justice. It never is. But it was real. After the trial, as the town turned the page to new gossip, I packed a small bag. I left the house in the gray of morning. My sister tried to stop me, but this time I let her go. I did not want her apologies. I did not want more bargains. I wanted a life that wasn't wrapped in my family's lies. Outside, I walked to the bus station. I looked back once. The house sat quiet, like a wound finally stitched shut. My name still carried weight, but now it felt different. I had exposed a scam. I had paid a price. I had helped fix some damage. As the bus pulled away, my phone buzzed. A note from an unknown number. You could have let it go. Why not forgive? I typed back nothing. Forgiveness is a choice, not a sentence. I had chosen a different cost. Revenge had given me power, but it almost made me cruel. Admitting my own faults cut that cruelty down. It did not free me. It taught me. I traveled far. I found work that paid little and people who had no name in the news. I learned to sleep without cameras in the yard. Sometimes I thought about the money. Sometimes I thought about the donors who cried when they learned the truth. Sometimes I thought about my mother's eyes when she mouthed, "Why?" In the end, the more was not simple. Truth matters. So does mercy. Lies can be used for profit, but they also rot the people who tell them. Revenge can fix a wrong, but only if it leads to repair. Otherwise, it becomes a mirror and shows you yourself. I did not want to be a monster. I still carry the scars of the choice I made. I still wake up some nights hearing laughter from the kitchen. But I also know this. I expose a lie. I return what I could. I took responsibility for what I stole. I learned that justice is not the same as revenge. Justice asks us to mend. Revenge asks us to break. One evening, months later, I opened my phone to a message. It was from a donor I had spoken to in court. We used refunded money to help a real child in need. The message read, "We fixed what we could. Thank you for telling the truth." I closed my eyes and breathed in. The town carried on. The family would never be what it had been. Neither would I, but I had a choice now. I chose to live with the truth.